we wanted to welcome you all because this is something that the Business Pathway has been trying to do. Started probably about 2 years ago, and making sure that we are able to offer some co-curricular activities and events that support entrepreneurship, as well as the business model. And so this year in fall, we normally have it in the fall, but as you know, with COVID and everything going on, that was not something we were able to do. Some of you may be familiar with attending our entrepreneurship workshops, as well as our monthly series. This year, for the spring, we have been graciously been able to collaborate with our virtual student center. And I've been working with Miss Alicia Phillips and being able to offer you what we call our distinguished speaker series. So we will have a speaker or a panel of speakers starting with this month. This is our first one, and we will have one each month, the third Thursday of each month through May. So thank you all for coming. I see some familiar faces, and so thank you so much for supporting us. Just to let you know, I just wanted to kind of briefly share the screen with you as to what is coming down the pike in case you would like to come back and join us. And so you can see we have today's event that we'll talk about in a minute, but in February, we're doing something called the Business of Justice, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We'll be sending out something very soon about the speaker that we have coming in. We are so excited about her, and she's excited about talking with you all. And we have in March, the Closing the Gap, Making a Space for Women in Engineering, Computer Science, Economics, and Cybersecurity, in partnership with the Women's Center. This again is also a very exciting topic and event that we're looking forward to. In April, TCC's Alumni Entrepreneur Panel will be with us. It will give you an opportunity as students to see people like you who have actually been successful in business and who continue to do so and share some of their success and what they did to be successful. And then last in May that we're super excited about, but we still have a lot of work and planning, but we are planning on holding a pitch competition awards. For those of you who are self-starters, who are looking forward to starting your own business, whether it be in a product in our IT field or whether it be in business and providing a service. So we're looking forward to those ideas. So stay tuned for those, students, because we're going to be sending that out to you all, as well as our community, as to gathering your ideas and see who would like to be a part of this pitch. So with no further ado, though, let's get to today's activity. So let me stop sharing. Sorry about that. Okay. So today, I would like to welcome a very distinguished speaker. And we have today with us Miss Vivian Oden. And she is the Vice President for Special Projects from the Hampton Roads Community Foundation. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard of the Hampton Roads Community Foundation, but they are an organization that has been with us for quite some time, very strong in the community, and they're doing wonderful things. I met Ms. Oden originally. We've worked together in a lot of different circles around entrepreneurship. And we currently have been meeting and working together and supporting Black Brand, which is an organization that helps startup companies and supports the entrepreneurship in the area, in our community, and part of the Black Chamber of Commerce. And so that's where we've kind of united or met each other and been working with each other ever since. Ms. Oden has been with the Hampton Roads Foundation for over 14 years. And she's currently not only involved in philanthropy, which is what the organization is about, but she also is very involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as closing the gaps. And so with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Vivian Oden, who is going to be speaking to us today about your role, the role of civic engagement. So Ms. Oden, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for allowing me to be with you this afternoon. I really appreciate it. As Nancy mentioned, I've been with the Hampton Roads Community Foundation for about 14 years. And in particular, recently, I've been really focusing within the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion around racial equity. And so today, as she mentioned, I'm going to be talking about the roles of civic engagement and then how civic engagement and racial equity kind of meet each other and the work that the Hampton Roads Community Foundation has been doing in the community. So I am going to share my screen. I have a PowerPoint and I'm going to share that. But I encourage you this afternoon, I want this to be engaging. So I want you to participate. I want you to participate in the polls. We have 2 poll questions. I want you to ask questions, drop your comments in the chat. And so we can learn from each other this afternoon. So I am going to share my screen with you. And so my PowerPoint screen, so you can see that. And so, as mentioned, I'm going to be talking about the roles of civic engagement and what that means for us in the Hampton Roads community. So the first question I want to pose to you, and I want you to just drop your comments in the chat, is what is civic engagement to you? So before we even get started, I just want to take about a minute and for you to just drop your comments. What is civic engagement to you? So we're going to take about a minute, and if you would just drop your feedback in the chat, I really appreciate it. So we have participated in community events, helping out your community, giving back. That's great. It's giving back to the community, community service. Awesome. Getting involved in different activities and volunteering, yes. Charity, yes. We'll take a few more seconds. Connecting others, awesome. Helping out in your community, voting, volunteering, paying it forward, yes. Volunteering again, helping out with the community, helping one another. So yeah, so those are all things that are related to civic engagement. So as many of you put in the chat already, it's really making a difference in your community, helping, giving back, working together with other people as well in the community. So I'm just going to highlight 4 items under civic engagement this afternoon. So the first one is advocacy and education. And so advocacy is really important. If there is an issue that you really care about that is really near and dear to you, I encourage you, whether it's, let's say, education in the community. So joining your local PTA, your child's local PTA, or if your children go to private school, getting involved at the private school. It's also if you are involved in civil rights, and civil rights is important to you, joining maybe your local NAACP. But it's really just getting involved in areas and issues that you care about and really educating yourselves around those issues. Okay. The next one is political involvement. So people think, yeah, it's a vote, vote, vote. Political, they see vote. So yes, that is one aspect of getting involved politically, is to go out there, make your voice count and vote, whether it's in the federal, local elections. But it's also educating yourselves around different candidates that are running for election, understanding the issues that they care about and that are important to you. It's also educating and letting other people know about those concerns and issues as well. In addition, maybe it's you running for political office. So if you are thinking about running for your local school board or running for city council or even at the state or federal level, thinking about yourself and how you can get involved in your community in that way. And then I also like to talk about mobilization and having a mobilization team as it relates to a particular candidate. So for me, in 2018, when President Barack Obama was running his first term, I got together with other people in Suffolk, and we had an office that we ran, a local office in Suffolk. And so We have volunteers, family and friends involved in the community, going out and educating people about him as a candidate. So that's just other ways that you can get involved politically. In addition, which is really important, is staying informed. So not only around candidates that you might care about, but issues. So whether it's housing disparities, health disparities, racial inequities, it's really staying informed, going to local events. Someone put that in chat, attending community events. So going to events and learning about different issues within your community, Hampton Roads Community, or whatever community that you are a part of, is learning about the issues there. And I will also say is informing your children. If you have children, informing them, informing your friends and family, and bringing them with you to those community events. So right now, with a lot of the divide in the country and the different things that are happening around racial injustices, I also encourage you to practice tolerance and respect. And so we have different religious viewpoints. We come from different racial, ethnic backgrounds. We have different opinions. So it's getting to know your neighbor, getting to know other people. Maybe if you're going to that community event, it is meeting someone new and getting to know them, and exchanging information and staying involved and close and engaging with them. So I just also encourage you to just show respect and get to know each other, get to know your neighbors. Some people live beside each other for years and don't even talk to each other. So I encourage you to get to know your neighbors as well, and get to know other people in your community. And finally, I'm going to talk about philanthropy, which Nancy mentioned at the beginning. I've been at the Hampton Roads Community Foundation for about 14 years. So philanthropy, I've been working in that space for a long time. But in addition, I've been a philanthropist since I was a child in the Girl Scouts, also volunteering in my community. So philanthropy is near and dear to me. And so when people think about philanthropy, they think about money. Giving money to a particular organization, a charity, or supporting a particular cause. But philanthropy is bigger than that. Philanthropy, in addition to sharing your treasures, as I would call money, is also sharing your time. So it's volunteering in the community, going out and helping others in the community. It's also sharing your talent. So if you have a talent and you're serving on a local nonprofit board, it's also doing that. And then lastly, people tend to not mention is sharing your testimony, and letting your testimony be heard in the community, and sharing what's important to you and why you give back. And so I want to show you a video of people sharing their testimonies. So I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint. And then I'm going to share a video with you. And it's people sharing why they give back in the community.
It's not about the resources you have. It's about the small things that you're willing to do for others.
We have a responsibility for our fellow man, and that's a very important part of our Jewish ethic.
I don't know if a lot of people have discovered that, but there's truly a joy in giving to others, focusing on others and not always about yourself.
Philanthropy adds contentment for me on a level that nothing else can.
My passion is to try to level the playing field.
It's just kind of the American way.
Seven Norfolk business leaders created the Hampton Roads Community Foundation in 1950. Its original purpose was to keep gifts for charitable, educational, and cultural purposes in the region. The Community Foundation evolved to provide scholarships for students, support area nonprofits, and start key initiatives designed to help our region thrive. Our donors' reasons for partnering with us are as varied as they are: remembering a special friend or relative, investing in the future, or giving back for a good life.
The D.A. Taylor Memorial Scholarship Fund was the brainchild of both the Taylors, Gail and Stan Taylor, his parents, and his classmates.
We decided to partner with the Hampton Roads Community Foundation because we were looking for a long-standing institution that cared about our local community and that we knew was going to be here for years to come.
We established the Dixon Settle Fund as a result of my wanting to do something to honor my mother. The goal of the fund is to help women in terms of their needs, and we left it kind of open because needs change.
The Florence Smith Scholarship had a huge impact on me. It allowed me to go to medical school on scholarship through 4 years without leaving with any debt. When I was near retirement, I decided that I was going to pay back the amount of what that meant to me.
My father died when I was young. Going to baseball games represents the happiest memories of my father and me. And so it was just a natural to do that. And I love baseball, so, it works.
Over the decades, generous donors from all walks of life and many different backgrounds have embraced the Community Foundation as a vehicle for supporting a myriad of important causes.
And I see that face of philanthropy changing, women becoming more and more involved, feeling that they do make a difference and they do count.
I see it becoming multiple colors now, different sort of financial anchors. Some people are wealthy, being a philanthropist, some are not wealthy.
I mean, just the fact that, we have an LGBT-oriented scholarship, that's a change.
I'm seeing it skew younger. I see a lot of millennials that have a deep desire to give back to their communities. I see people, again, from all different socioeconomic stratas. I see people from different diverse backgrounds. I think it's changing, and it's changing for the good.
I care about education and the environment. Some people care about the arts. Some people care about medicine and health issues. So just by people's own interest, philanthropy is very diverse. I'm seeing more diversity, and that's not just in terms of African Americans, but the whole range of diversity. I'm seeing changes, and that's very encouraging.
John and I probably both serve on boards that range from the ages of people in their 20s to their 80s. And I think as the younger generation comes on, I think it gives new ideas and fresh thought.
I would just encourage each and every one of us to step into it and to be proactive, because everybody from every walk of life, from every background can make a difference. And at the end of the day, it's about just rolling up the sleeves and getting involved.
So I wanted to just share that video with you just to show you how important testimonies are, and to just hear from different people and what philanthropy means to them. And so there's so many different aspects of philanthropy that people can get involved and be a part in their community. So I wanted to take a time to do a poll question. And so I want to just hear from you of how are you involved in your community around philanthropy? And so I'm going to launch this poll question and give us about a minute to take the question, take the poll. And I'm going to wait a few more seconds to get any last minute people. Okay, so I am going to share results. So it looks like many people are volunteering and they are supporting causes with treasures with their money as well. We do have about 4 people that are not involved, but they're learning more. And so today is an opportunity to just learn other ways that you can get involved in the community and around philanthropy. So thank you all for participating in the poll. And so I'm going to share my screen again. So I wanted to just share a little bit about the Hampton Roads Community Foundation with you. And so, as I mentioned, I oversee our racial equity work. And so our racial equity work was launched in about 2018, where the Hampton Roads Community Foundation board decided that we really wanted to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in particular, we wanted to focus on racial equity in our community and looking at ways to address the racial inequities that many people face within Hampton Roads. And so one aspect of that was holding up the mirror to ourselves and saying, hey, what can we do internally to make those changes? So we have looked at our policies and practices. We have looked at our board and made some changes at the board level to have more diversity on the board. We also look at how we are engaging our grantees or potential grantees, our current donors, fund holders, prospects, and just every aspect internally and how we engage the community. We are looking at how we can do that and be more equitable in our approach. It's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. So while we have made some progress, we still have a lot of work to do. In addition, we have been around since 1950. There are over 750 community foundations across the country. And we last year, I guess since we have started, we have given over $301 million in grants and scholarships. So grants and scholarships is the main thing that we do. People from all walks of life set up funds with us, and we administer those funds through grants and scholarships. Just last year, we gave out $19 million in grants and scholarships, and about $1.4 million went out to scholarships for 434 college students. In addition, we have a total assets of $378+ million. And I mentioned funds and people setting up funds. We have about 550 funds, and they range from scholarship funds, unrestricted funds, field of interest funds, donor advised funds. And so this is kind of just a background, a little bit about the Hampton Roads Community Foundation. So in addition to the work that we have done internally around racial equity, we have also looked at ways of engaging the community around civic engagement. So what we are calling it is Understanding Hampton Roads, which is a series that we started back in 2019 to just bring issues to the forefront and have community events around those particular issues. So one event we had was around opportunity youth. In addition, we had one around workforce development. And then around, in particular, our racial equity work, we've had community events. So one was back in 2019. It was held at Norfolk State University, and it was around race, equity, and education. It was on a documentary, America to Me, which followed high school students in Chicago and looked at the racial inequities that they face around education. In addition, we brought Dr. Beverly Tatum to Hampton Roads in 2019. She is the author of Why All the Black Kids Sitting Together at the Cafeteria and Other Conversations About Race. And so we just had a conversation with her, and she talked about her book. She also talked about what can we do in the community as it relates to race relations. And then before COVID hit and we couldn't really have any more in-person events last year, in January on National Day of Racial Healing, we had an event which was Dred Scott Presents Sons and Daughters of Reconciliation. And we brought 4 descendants in, descendants of the Dred Scott case, and then the descendants of Plessy versus Ferguson case. And so if you don't know the Dred Scott case, Dred Scott, he went and filed for freedom, citizenship. He was in a northern state for about 4 years. And at that point, since that state was free, he wanted to be able to file for his citizenship and his freedom. And unfortunately, that he did not get that. The other Plessy versus Ferguson, it was Homer Plessy, who it came up with separate but equal phrase, if you are familiar with that. And he was on a train car, and he's biracial. He was biracial, and so he wanted to be able to sit where he wanted to sit, and so he wanted to. That's how the separate but equal phrase came about him. And so both cases went to the Supreme Court. So the descendants of the judges and the descendants of Homer Plessy and Dred Scott came to talk about those cases, to talk about the historical aspects, and to talk about how we can move forward with healing and unity. And then finally, Black Philanthropy Month is in August, and we have been celebrating that since 2018. And so in 2020, we had a virtual event, and it was focused on philanthropy and sports. So we had 3 former NFL players come and talk about their work in philanthropy. All 3 have their own personal private foundations, and they just shared their insights and how they are getting involved in their community. The next one is Unmasking Hampton Roads, and it was a series that took place in 2019. It's a 3-part learning series, and it was about examining the race and the history of race in our region. And so we had one in Virginia Beach, and then we had another one in Portsmouth at the Tidewater Community College. So I am thankful for Tidewater Community College partnering with us to have the Portsmouth events. And so it was about bringing people together to really have conversations around race and the history of race and how we can move forward. The first day was people came together, had conversations around dinner, watched a play, and they talked about when was the first time you were aware of race, and they shared those conversations. And so, as I mentioned before, coming, getting to know each other, getting to know new people, we separated people at different tables. We try to put people at tables they didn't know randomly. And actually, some people, even today, still continue to stay in conversation with the people at their table. And they're still meeting and having conversations around that. So I think that is awesome. The second day was a panel discussion. And then the third day, we brought in Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities to do a workshop around the cycle of prejudice. And so before I talk about how you can get involved, I have another poll question for you. And I want to see from you, and I just want to find out has anyone been able to participate in any of our events as it relates to racial equity at the Hampton Roads Community Foundation. So I am going to launch the second poll. And if you will take a few minutes to just answer the poll question, or about a minute. And now I'll give you a few more seconds. All right, and so I'm going to end the poll. So it looks like we have a few people that attended some of our events, but majority of you have not. So there is an opportunity, that is an event coming up virtually on February 25th that I will share with you. So thank you all for participating in the poll. And so I will share. And so before I go in and I talk about how to get involved, I do just want to highlight that with civic engagement, there could be some barriers to participation for some people. And I don't want to exclude that aspect of civic engagement. So we talked about going to community events. We talked about volunteering. We talked about even going out to the polls to be able to vote. And so there could be barriers to transportation. And so I wanted to be mindful that if there are people that you know in the community that when we are back out going to in-person events and being able to be around each other past COVID, I encourage you to help your fellow neighbors and help people get to the polls, or help people get to a community event, or help people to just get around and be able to volunteer in the community. And so I encourage you to be mindful of those barriers and assist each other. There another barrier, technology is so heavy for us right now. And so there's a technology barrier. Some people maybe in rural areas, there could be Wi-Fi concerns. Also just technology and having access to computers to be able to get on Zoom like we are today, or be able to attend a virtual event. And so that is another aspect and a barrier that could hinder other people within the community to participate in civic engagement. And so being able to provide technology support around providing computers. I know many of the school systems, many of our kids are doing virtual learning. And so school systems have provided hotspots and computers for children to be able to have learning opportunities virtually. So I encourage you, if you know other people and there's opportunities for you to help and support to do that, to help prevent those barriers to participation in civic engagement. So as I mentioned before, many of you have not attended a foundation event, but there is an opportunity coming up on Thursday, February 25th. It's virtual, it's free, open to the public, and we're bringing in author Richard Rothstein. He is the author of The Color of Law, and his book really talks about segregation in the community, and how policies and laws have created segregated neighborhoods, have created redlining in the community, and just talk about solutions and how we can move forward. There will also be 2 industry experts, local experts, to talk about it on a local level and how we can move forward locally to address some of the concerns that we might have in Hampton Roads. Another way that you can get involved, the Hampton Roads Community Foundation has 2 giving circles. Giving circles are people pulling their resources together, and then they are able to make grants in the community. So let's say if you care about education, if you care about the environment, if you care about the arts, or whatever issue that is important to you, you can get with like-minded individuals, pool your resources, and be able to join a giving circle where you can make the decision of what charitable cause or charitable organization that you want to support. So we have community leadership partners. They've been around the longest at the Hampton Roads Community Foundation. Individuals coming together. They have mainly focused on education as the different organizations that they have supported in the past. In addition, our newest giving circle is Visionaries for Change, which started in 2019. We have Black business and civic leaders come together, pool their resources, to be able to support charitable causes in the Black community. I would say that I am a founding member of Visionaries for Change, and I'm just excited and look forward to the work that we have moving forward. The next opportunity, as I mentioned before, Black Philanthropy Month, we started celebrating that in 2018. And it was a way to really put out in the community around philanthropy in the Black community. People, many times there's myths that Black people don't give, or Black people only give to a certain way. And so we wanted to be able to have people tell their testimonies and share their philanthropy stories. And so we have been supporting that over the past 3 years. But data is important so we can know where people are giving to and in the Black community. So we have a survey coming out called Giving Black Hampton Roads that will launch in the next few days. And we encourage, if you identify as a Black person in the Hampton Roads region, to take that survey. We will be sharing it with Tidewater Community College to share with you. Next, I talked about sharing knowledge with others, getting knowledge and sharing it. So if you are a student at Tidewater Community College, or you know other students at some of our other colleges in the area, I encourage you to share with them a scholarship opportunity. Our deadline for scholarships is March 1st. And we have over 60 scholarships, about 60 scholarships available. And so I encourage you, go online, complete the application, and the deadline is March 1st. The other opportunity, which is a new grant opportunity, we have several different grant opportunities. This is a new one. It's a Black Community Partnership Grant. So back in the end of last year, we received a $1 million grant from Facebook to support Black-led and Black-serving nonprofit organizations in Hampton Roads. And so this grant opportunity was announced last week. The deadline is March 1st. So I encourage you to share if you know Black-led and a Black-serving nonprofit organization, to share this opportunity with them. Black-led and Black-serving is a nonprofit organization, majority of boards Black, majority of leadership staff, and the people, their clients and participants are Black. And then another, racial equity is near and dear to me, and it's really important. And so if you want to learn more about racial equity or be able to share some resources, I encourage you to go to our unmaskedhr.org site, and we have a list of resources there that you can learn more and share with others. And then lastly, which I think is so important, is building your networks and getting to know different people and sharing with each other. So first I want to talk about leadership opportunities, and leadership opportunities have really been influential in my life, in my professional growth and development. So one is Lead Hampton Roads. I went through Lead Hampton Roads in 2009. If you have already gone through Lead Hampton Roads, you know we were the best class ever, as we would say. So I encourage you, Lead Hampton Roads gives you an opportunity to serve on a local nonprofit board if you have never served on a board. It also gives you an opportunity to learn more about the region. Lead Peninsula is another leadership program on the peninsula, and it's similar to Lead Hampton Roads, but it's really focused on learning about the peninsula of area. Civic is another leadership institution, and then Project Inclusion is through the United Way, which also talks about board governance and gives you that opportunity to learn about boards and being able to serve on a board. So leadership opportunities for me have been very important through my work in racial equity and through my work in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I encourage you to tap into some of our local leadership opportunities. And then there's some national ones that I have gone through as well. And then business networks. Business networks are just great opportunities to meet people. Nancy mentioned Black Brand, and so that has really kept us together, working together. And so Black Brand, as she mentioned, is our Black Chamber of Commerce. So once again, having the opportunity to meet Nancy and work with Nancy through Black Brand In addition, there are other local chambers. There's the regular Hampton Roads Chamber. There is the Hispanic Chamber, the Peninsula Chamber, and then there's also the Asian Business Association. And then Harbor is our LGBTQIA+ chamber. There's other professional groups, the Bar Association. If you are looking to go into marketing and communications, there's PRSA. There's also the Hampton Roads Black Media Professionals. There's also other accounting professional networks and other groups out there that I encourage you to tap into and network with. And then if you are a young professional, Thrive is a young professional network group. And so I just want to close out with this quote around change. So change only happens when ordinary people get involved, get engaged, and come together to demand it. President Barack Obama. And so I encourage you, as you are thinking about the roles of civic engagement, as you are thinking about getting involved in your community, change is important. Helping out and getting involved is important. So I encourage you to tap into that and get involved into your community. So thank you so much for having me this afternoon, and I am open for any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Vivian. This was absolutely excellent. I love the takeaways and the different ways that so many of us, especially our students, can certainly seek opportunities and getting involved. And it also is an opportunity for our dear faculty. So many of our faculty are here today. I just want to give a shout out to them because we have the most awesome faculty in all of the pathways. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that? I'm sorry. But they are here and I am so excited. And thank you all for coming, and we really appreciate it. And this is something that they definitely will share and take back to their students, but many of their students are here with us as well. Any questions? I wanted to, before I give some last announcements, wanted to see if there was any questions out there that you can either put in the chat or you can just kind of unmute yourself and speak right out.
Nancy, during the course of the presentation, there was a question from a gentleman who was inquiring about the term philanthropy and what that concept includes. And so there was an example of sharing a neighbor, supporting another neighbor with fixing a car. And would that be considered philanthropy? Question.
Okay. Yes. So that is also another aspect of philanthropy. Giving to your family members, helping to support family members, helping people, those GoFundMe pages, and you're supporting out there. That is also another aspect of philanthropy. So philanthropy does not have to be traditional, where you're giving to an organization, but it can be helping and supporting individuals in your community. So yes, that particular example is a form of philanthropy. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Vivian, are you going to have any more unmasking HR, I guess, groupings? I mean, I guess you'd have to do it on Zoom, but is that something on the table?
That is something I'm exploring. So stay tuned. I hope to be able to have something similar in 2021, but it has not been confirmed yet. But we could have another unmasking. So yes, but stay tuned for it, and I'll be happy to share it if we do decide to have another one with Nancy or Alicia.
Yeah, I just think it's important because I find that, and I've had this conversation with a number of people, a lot of white people don't know how to be politically correct anymore. And we don't, and so therefore we don't talk about anything for fear of being hurtful and not realizing it. Mm-hmm. And I think the conversations that we could have, that's, and I think that goes both ways. Like everyone's so worried about being politically correct, then conversation doesn't get started. Well, if we don't talk about anything, then how do you solve anything? You know what I mean? And I think that could be very beneficial. Well, it would be beneficial to me. I can't speak for others, but I just think it would be something that could be very beneficial.
Yes, no, I agree. I think conversations are really important and needed because people don't want to say the wrong thing. And right. You want a space where you can feel safe to just explore those conversations and not feel like you're being judged or someone, as they would say with the woke culture, cancel you out. You're canceled now. So you just want to be able to have those conversations. So yes, I agree with you, Kelly. I think they're so important. And so that's something that we are exploring to have further conversations, even if it's virtually, for the community. So thank you. Yes.
Yes, the unmasking event was excellent, Vivian. And just to let you know, Vivian, we just had what we call the Learning Institute for our faculty and also our classified staff and administrators that was focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so this topic today really does kind of, although we're talking about philanthropy and we're talking about civic engagement, it really is another opportunity for those types of conversations to continue because you pointed to a lot of that. So thank you for that. Any other questions?
Thank you.
So I had a question for you, Vivian. And my question is, when we think about our students, many of them may feel that, oh, you know, I don't necessarily have funding to give or money to give, or even time sometimes in terms of giving back to the community. But what would you, I know that you gave them some opportunities, what would you suggest some ways that they could do that even now, but more importantly, not only in, you know, in their environment, but how the different environments they could actually give back, you know, whether it be here at school or whether it be in their communities. What are some things that you suggest, as well as why it's so important in the field that they're going to go into?
I think it's important to give back and find opportunities just because it's able to build your networks. I know when I was in college, I was part of Circle K International. So we did a lot of volunteer work. And it was just a great opportunity to meet with different people and be engaged in that. So if there are clubs or organizations on campus, I encourage you to tap into them. You never know what opportunities will be in front of you and who you will meet. Now with the social media era, I mean, you don't know who you will come in contact with, even for business opportunities, for professional opportunities with jobs. You never know who path you will cross and give you that opportunity for that position. So I encourage you on campus, get involved in activities. Today, you came to this event, virtual series. So I encourage you to attend the other speaker series and attend those events. And then now with everything being virtual, it makes it so easy to just turn your computer on and be able to look at a virtual event in your pajamas. So I encourage you, if there's other virtual events out there, to be able to go and tap into them. Many of them are free, so you're not paying anything. If there is someone on campus that you can tutor, if someone needs assistance that's in one of your classes that you can help, that's philanthropy. You're giving back, you're helping. I mean, even now with me, I tutor at one of our local elementary schools in Norfolk. I started tutoring virtually. It's different. I've been tutoring 6 years in person, and now it's like I'm on Zoom talking with my student. But I mean, it's just a wonderful opportunity that even though we can't be with each other in person, we can tutor virtually. So there's several opportunities on campus where you can get involved and just be a part, where you don't have to give money or even have to go out and volunteer, let's say at a local nonprofit where you're actually physically doing something there. It could be virtually as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that is really one of the reasons why this became a key topic that we thought was certainly apropos for this month. I mean, let's think about it. So in the month of January, just this past Monday, we all commemorated Martin Luther King, who was certainly a strong and a wonderful civic leader who really paved the ways for us and changed a lot of our lives. And so in addition to that, just yesterday, we had the inauguration of our new presidents and new president cabinet. again, a momentous event, right? And we also speak in this element right now in terms of the fact that in business, this is a pivotal and a key pillar in business in terms of giving back. And many of our classes, like our introduction to business, even I'm sure in economics, international business, we talk about this sense of community and the opportunity and the responsibility of businesses giving back to the community. A lot of times we talk about it in a win-win fashion, but certainly that still is important, because when giving back, you mentioned that, Vivian, when you talked about that, it also builds a network. And so that's something that you can benefit from, but also you're attributing to. So really important if you all are pursuing, programs in business, in IT, that many of the businesses like this foundation could not be in existence without for-profit businesses giving back to them and community leaders giving back to them so that they can be helpful and supportive to the community in which they serve. So that's the connection. And so I know that your faculty will also continue to make those connections for you. The other thing is I just wanted to reiterate and just remind you all of the next couple of speaking engagements we're going to have. So I'll do that before we end. But was there any other questions for Ms. Oden? Well, if not, let's give her a big round of applause virtually.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Vivian. We really, really appreciate that. And like I said, I love the fact that you listed the different ways and the different opportunities that we definitely can get involved, whoever we are here on this Zoom today. So that was enlightening. If you're interested in this particular event, it has been recorded. It will be available to you all on the Virtual Student Center platform in YouTube, on their YouTube page. And you also will have the opportunity of being able to access the PowerPoint presentation. Just send us an email and we can send that to you, and it should be available on the Virtual Student Center's page as well. And in addition to that, last but not least, let me just kind of bring up our next series because that is really important. So the reason why we do this as a pathway, we're not the only pathway who does have co-curricular events. I know Arts and Humanities often have these events as well, because we truly believe that learning doesn't only happen in the classroom, right? Learning happens in a number of different areas. And so our co-curricular events are so important because it's an extension of your classroom. It's an extension of what you're learning in your curriculum. And it also speaks to the whole person. So definitely these are important to attend. And just to highlight the next couple of ones that are coming, I'm just going to share my screen for a second. Again, the next one that I really want to point your interest towards is on February 18th. And again, it's going to be every third Thursday of the month. It's always on a Thursday at 12 o'clock. So it's typically 12 to 1, no more than an hour. And the next one is the Business of Justice, which is called Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The Business of Justice, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Again, February is Black History Month, right? And many of you have seen this title before because we've offered it in, actually I did a segment at Black Brands Conference, but we also just recently, Alicia and I just recently gave that at our Learning Institute. But this will be different because it's skewed really towards our student population. So we have a fantastic speaker as well. Again, in February, who's coming. Her name is Jordine Blaze. You can look her up at jordaneblaze.com. But she is a diversity coach, a consultant, and a public speaker. And she also works full-time in the area of biochemistry. And so she's going to talk to you from that platform, talk to you from that type of business and how that connects to COVID and how that all kind of wraps up in a bow and leads to the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So Those of you who are faculty here, please intertwine this into your curriculum, invite your students, and if tell your colleagues about it, as well as you students who are here. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that you've learned something, you've gotten some takeaways, and I hope to see you next month at our next event. So please share this with your friends and your family and those in the community. Many of our community partners, as well as many of the community that we've served in our previous events, are here with us today. So thank you all for coming, and please come back next month to our next event. It's really going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And that's it for the day. So thank you again. That is 12:57. Wow, I can't believe it. I normally talk a lot with you, so.
Thank you all so much for joining us. And I think that Nancy made mention that this event will be recorded, well, it has been recorded, and the recording will be made available publicly. So this is something that you can share with your friends, family, colleagues, and continue to spread this word of how each of us has a tremendous impact to share with our greater community. Thanks again for being here. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yes, enjoy your day. Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Thanks again, Vivian.